Hey guys, this is Josh, giving you a little information today on reishi mushrooms. This is the first tincture that I've ever made, but discovered a book called The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies by Nicole Appelian and Claude Davis. And one of the things that I've got nearby me are reishi mushrooms. There's a bunch of other stuff that I'll get to, but for today, let's talk about the identification of it. And as you can see here, kind of has a nice white ring around it, and then in the inside almost looks like a kidney bean. So the identification of a reishi mushroom is actually pretty simple. It's very distinct. There's not dangerous mushrooms that look like this. So if you see this nice white outer ring or yellowish outer ring and a nice kind of reddish, purplish brown kidney bean, that is a reishi mushroom for identification purposes. Now, we'll talk about how to make the tincture, but before we get into that, just a couple things that I'll rattle off here about some of the uses for it. It's an anti-inflammatory, can help with autoimmune diseases, things like anti-aging as well. Very well known for cancer treatments of all different types. So if you're suffering from something like that, might be something good to put into the daily regimen. Also helps with fatigue, depression, insomnia, anxiety, adrenal fatigue. So as you can see, very in the autoimmune nature, and helping a lot of your processes inside of your body fight off other things that might be slowing you down or impacting you a little bit. It's also known as a anti-microbial or anti-bacterial or antiviral, depending on your belief system on some of those things, but can certainly help, like I said, fight off some things that are maybe hurting you as well. And some of the more common uses for it are to fight off allergies and asthma. Again, that goes back towards the autoimmune purposes of reishi mushrooms, and can help regulate, blood pressure, cholesterol. Helps fight type 2 diabetes pretty considerably as well. So for people that are suffering from diabetes, reishi mushrooms could be a way to maybe think about adding in some supplements to help your body. And also helps with other things, some more simple stuff like acne, hormone balancing and prostate functioning, as well as your liver. So that's some of the uses. You can see it's pretty wide ranging. But when I think of the reishi mushrooms, think of it as a autoimmune diseases, things that are slowing you down, things that maybe you got aches and pains. A lot of the stuff that you'll see from herbal remedies will help with cancer. And for me, in my thought process, they really just help with the elimination of toxins in the body, which is why you're not going to find, cancers in your body if you eliminate some of those toxins. So really keeping you healthy. And we'll get to the daily use, but first let's talk a little bit more about how to make the tincture. So once you found the reishi mushroom, let it dry out for a few days. Make sure that it's nice and dry. It should be kind of rubbery feeling. It shouldn't, leave a lot of residue, on your fingers as you're, touching it. If you had just found it, you might want to wash it first and then let it dry out. But don't immerse it in water if you're going to wash it. Just rinse it lightly and then leave it to dry out for a few days. Once it's nice and dry and it feels a little bit rubbery, then you can chop it up and cube it, kind of like you've seen here, and then you're ready to make your tincture. Now, there's two ways to do it. Essentially, you need the double extraction method. So you're going to use alcohol and distilled water. And you could do either or. So method one is start with water. Method two, start with the alcohol. I'll walk you through the process that I'm doing right now. And it does take a little bit of time. So this might even be a two-part video. But you've got number one, once you've got it all diced, then you can take a nice canning jar, depending on how much you have. You basically want to fill about half of the jar with the mushrooms. So what I have here is a 16-ounce jar. You can use a larger jar if you have multiple reishi mushrooms, but once you've got the jar, fill it about full. Maybe leave a half inch to an inch or so on top, so that way you can have some room to breathe. Also, you want to shake this thing around, so you need some space inside that jar as well. Once you fill with alcohol, you can see it's nice and clear. Once you shake it up though, you've got more of that cloudy mixture, that cloudy residue inside the jar. That's what it's ultimately going to look like at the end when you're all said and done. But every single day for 2 months, you want to take that jar and just give it a nice vigorous shake and then put it back up on the shelf. And the reason that we're using alcohol in addition to water, and it doesn't matter which way you go, water first or alcohol first, but the reason that you use alcohol is that way once the tincture is all said and done, the shelf life of this thing is essentially in perpetuity. So you can keep it for a very, very long time. And how much you want to take every day is really just half a teaspoon to maybe a full teaspoon if you're a bigger individual. You could take a little bit more, but really need about half a teaspoon of this stuff. You can use it through one of those little droplets, or just simply put a little half teaspoon in there, scoop a little bit out, and take it for you as well. You should not take this if you are pregnant or if you are breastfeeding. But if you are otherwise an adult, go ahead, feel free and do it. Or if you do want to give it to a child who's maybe struggling with, a cold, a flu, allergy, asthma, that type of thing, then just give about a quarter dose. So if we're talking about half to a full teaspoon, you're giving maybe just a couple drops with a droplet, to a child. And you might even want to mix that in with, milk or apple juice or something like that, some other substrate to make sure that the taste of it is good for them as well. So that's what I've got for you guys today. This is how to process a reishi mushroom and make a tincture out of it. Thanks. Have a good day.